Hi, I'm Stacia Sickle, and I'm the director of Livingston Memorial's Grief and Bereavement Program. I wish we could all be together at our Light Up event this year, but unfortunately we can't. So I've put together a few things I'd like to share with you about grief and the holidays. So when we rang in 2020, none of us could have predicted what was to come. We had hopes for the new year, expectations, plans. The pandemic has drastically altered our daily lives, challenged our coping mechanisms, isolated us from those we love, and threatened our sense of security and safety. The sorrow of the world and our own personal sorrows may feel especially overwhelming. We all feel the collective anguish, anxiety, and frustration. If you experience the death of a loved one during this time, you may find that your grief feels more complicated. You may have been restricted from your loved one's bedside, unable to provide love and comfort, a final goodbye. Funerals and other grief rituals have been put on hold because we've been told no large gatherings, therefore minimizing much needed support. Despite the new trend of drive-by support, it can't replace human connection. Social distancing has resulted in social isolation for many. Zoom became a new phenomenon, and virtual connection became a way of life. My family turned to Zoom after an unexpected death of a loved one. It gave us the opportunity to share our grief, but left me wanting more. The social, health, and economic uncertainty we are experiencing calls upon us to turn to that which grounds us, especially now. Holidays hold historic meaning for us. Our traditions and rituals are passed down from generations and embedded in our family's culture. Traditions help to define who we are, where we come from. Holiday memories are held in our mind, body, and soul. The smells and tastes, the sounds and sights, are all part of what makes this time of year meaningful. Observing, celebrating are ways we connect with each other and remember those no longer with us. But faced with the absence of a loved one, it can all feel too much, and you may feel like you want to skip it. But there are ways to grieve and survive the holidays. One of my heroes, Viktor Frankl, an Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist, and a Holocaust survivor. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. So, what might you consider this holiday season? When it comes to grief and the holidays, I encourage you to think about setting realistic expectations as you acknowledge your grief and determine what is most important to you. Consider giving yourself permission to do the holidays differently this year. Make choices on what you can and can't do. Be gentle with yourself. Ask yourself, what is the most important thing to me about the holidays? What observances and traditions do I want to include this year? What changes do I want to make? What do I dread the most? What can I do about it? What is the worst thing that can happen? Who can I call when I want to talk to someone? And can I give myself permission to experience grief and joy? Remember, the two are not mutually exclusive. We can hold both at the same time. Communicate your choices with your family. It can also be helpful to ask your family members what they need this year. Collaboration and mutual respect allows everyone the freedom to deal with the loss in their own way, and reduces conflict and misunderstanding. Recognize your loved one's presence in the family. Rituals such as lighting a special candle, sharing stories, or setting a place at the table for your loved one brings them into the holiday season with you and keeps their memory alive. We need to remind ourselves that mourning a loss during this time is difficult due to the additional stressors and restrictions. Drawing on self-compassion, diminishing self-criticism, and watching unrealistic expectations are ways we practice self-care. As hard as it is, reach out for help. Whether from those closest to you, a spiritual advisor, a grief counselor, or support group. Support is a healthy human need. When we feel supported, we are more able to manage our pain. We feel validated and seen. There is no timetable for grief, no linear steps. Healing does not occur in a timely or orderly fashion. Grief is messy. Therefore, it's important to not only engage your pain, but to find ways to evade your pain too. This takes motivation and intention to surrender to your grief and identify ways you can take a break from your grief. In order to live in this changed life, to make it as good as you can, reconciling this loss is essential and does not happen with time, but with intentional acknowledgement, engagement, and purpose. Loss makes us more aware of what's important, highlights what we can change, and challenges us to accept what we can't. I can't change this pandemic. I can't go back in time. I can't reverse death. But I can find solace in connecting with those I love this holiday season. I can decide what traditions are important to me. I can take time to care for myself and to intentionally engage my grief through active mourning. As poet Mary Oliver said, we only have this one wild and precious life. We have to draw upon our resilience and ask ourselves, what is important to me? How will I honor my loved one? What holiday traditions will I keep this year? Which ones will I let go of, as I also honor the life I've been given? And remember, you got this.